Stephen Curry changed how we watch basketball. Not just the scoreboard, not just the record books. He changed how we think about possibility. If you grew up watching him, you know what I mean. That almost smile after a deep three, the way a whole arena leans forward when he steps outside the line. But behind every late-night buzzer beater, behind every highlight, is a person who learned how to be ready for those moments long before anybody saw them. This is a deep look into 5 things his new book lays bare. 5 revelations that move past stat lines and ask, who is the man who became the greatest shooter the game has ever seen? These aren't just trivia or celebrity gossip. They are human stories about preparation, family, conflict, time, and building a life that lasts beyond the scoreboard. If you love Steph, or if you love stories about hard-won excellence, stay with me. The first revelation is the simplest sounding thing and maybe the most dangerous to underestimate. Shot ready is a life philosophy. When you hear shot ready, you probably think of rhythm and release. The hand, the elbow, the perfect arc. But Curry describes it as something larger, a way of arranging life so that the moment doesn't have to be dramatic. He talks about preparing your life to be calm when opportunity arrives, to make the present quiet and clear. It's not about luck, it's about systems. Think about that for a second. We idolize the finished play, the buzzer beater, the run that wins a series. But what if the real lesson is the invisible work that made those plays calm? For Steph, being shot ready meant routines, micro adjustments, and 1,000 tiny decisions that look boring when you explain them, but transform everything when you practice them without fail. This idea humanizes him in a way fans hunger for. It turns uncanny shooter into person with rituals. He writes about photographs he saved, not glamour shots, but pictures of rehearsals, of weird gym drills, of the long, boring days that build a season. There's tenderness there, an admission that greatness isn't a bolt from the blue, it's the slow architecture of habits. That's relatable. That's teachable. The second revelation slows the game down and puts everything else into perspective. Family is the engine. You've seen the highlights, but this book makes clear where the fuel comes from. Curry writes about home life like someone trying to map a sanctuary. He talks about pictures that hold small, decisive moments, a quiet conversation with his wife, a bedtime routine, an ordinary dinner that somehow steadies the next day's storm. Those scenes don't sell tabloids, but they reveal a truth every athlete knows. Performance is a product of stability. What's striking is how unapologetically human this is. There's a scene where the camera of memory stops on a wardrobe moment, or a child's laugh frozen on a page, and you realize those small things are the anchors. The book reads like a love letter to the people who make the playing possible. For the fan, this opens emotional space. We love great plays because they're thrilling. We're moved by family moments because they make the hero fallible and lovable in the same breath. When Curry credits the quiet people around him, the partner who keeps him honest, the family who yanks him back from the noise, it changes how we watch his next game. No longer is he only a machine of scoring. He's a husband and a father carrying responsibilities and tenderness that reflect on the court. The third revelation pulls back the curtain on the place where reputations are forged, the locker room. Fans tend to make locker room talk into gossip or a punchline, but Curry's recollections show the locker room as a laboratory of culture. It's where jokes become rituals, where a phrase repeated becomes a team's little spine, where tension becomes the fuel for accountability. He talks about small rituals with teammates, about heated conversations that were necessary, and about the strange alchemy of friendship and competition that lived inside the Warriors. This is gripping because it's both backstage and consequential. We see the highlight reels and assume chemistry is automatic, but chemistry is made. It's the product of awkward meetings where someone finally said what needed to be said, of rituals that sound unimportant. Warm-ups, the way they joked before a road trip, and of the leaders who modeled courage under fatigue. Those images are cinematic. Late-night film sessions, a coach's blunt truth, a teammate's apology. That drama makes for great storytelling. The fourth revelation is quieter but heavier. Time. He hints that the arc of his playing career has a horizon. There's a line that lands in the chest. He speaks as if he can feel seasons shortening, as if there's a sensible window left to play. For a generation that watched his rise and peak, that knowledge reframes everything. Suddenly, every game becomes slightly more precious. Every shot is a collectible. This isn't morbid, it's human. Legends across sports have had their last act conversations. The internal measurements of whether to stay, to chase another ring, to shift toward life after the scoreboard. When Curry talks about time in this way, it's not a surrender. It's a strategic awareness. If you accept that the runway is finite, you make choices differently. You manage minutes, you prioritize depth over development, you value certain matchups more than others. This revelation is fertile ground for debate and for deep emotional connection. Fans will weigh in with memories, the clutch shot that made them love him, the season that meant more than a ring. Invite them to pick the moment they'd save forever. Ask them to imagine celebrating his final season like a festival. Those comments are gold for engagement. And for creators, this is content that ages well. In years to come, videos that treat the end of a career theme sensitively will keep finding an audience. The fifth revelation is expansive. He is building a life beyond the game, intentionally. What's interesting here is the continuity of the philosophy. The same shot-ready mindset follows him into entrepreneurial pursuits, into media, into philanthropic planning. He's not scattering his energy into side projects. He's doing the same deep, methodical work on business and legacy that he did on his shot. This is the kind of move that turns athletes into cultural figures who shape industries, not simply celebrities who sell products. For fans, this is fascinating on two levels. First, it's curious. What does Curry the Builder actually want to build? Brands, media projects, community spaces, the horizon is wide. Second, it's aspirational. You can see the scaffolding. He is designing his influence, and he's doing it like he trained his body, with discipline, with collaborators, with a clear aesthetic. Imagine a late fall night when the season is light, but expectation is not. He's home, a photo album open on the kitchen table. A child's drawing sits next to a spread of practice photos. He traces a thumb over a picture of an empty gym where he practiced slow releases until the night was gone. There's a text from a teammate about a tense practice earlier that week. A message that warrants a face-to-face, not a group chat blow-up. He places the phone down and looks at his wife. They share a small, knowing look. The family conversation is short, it's decisive, and it becomes the push that sends him back to the gym the next morning with a focused, light heart. The team's morning meeting becomes a place for candidness. The coach is blunt. The teammates are honest, and what could have been a fracturing moment becomes a strengthening one. That scene is everything. Ritual, family, locker room honesty, the sense that seasons matter, and the builder's mind that begins to imagine horizons beyond the gym. It's quiet, but it's monumental. Shot Ready is not a trophy case. It's a mirror. It shows how a life is arranged to meet its moments. For Stephen Curry, the work was daily, the love was steady, and the choices were deliberate. That's not the end of a story. It's a lesson. It's a quiet promise that the way you live today builds the moments people remember tomorrow.